Hello, everyone. My sincere apologies for the delay in starting the office hour today. Slight technical issues. My sincere apologies about that. So you're all welcome to today's office hour. Just give me a second. Just so that my screen isn't always black. I'm going to just share a slide. I'm just going to share a slide today while I take your questions. Okay, as we all should know already, the introduction resources have been shared on the LMS. That is for quite a number of people who are confused about what Flutter is about, even about what mobile development is about. Resources have been shared to help everyone get some basic understanding of what the track is about. So that's like the starting point for everyone. Resources have been shared to help everyone. So that's the starting point for everyone. The next right now is if there are questions on what has already been shared. I see some questions that were left on the form that I shared. So I'm just going to start with that while others get to drop questions in the comment section if there is any. Okay. The questions I see here are mostly before the resources were shared. So the only question that is recent is a question on if it's possible to install Flutter on a 32-bit OS. And unfortunately, that's the requirement for Flutter for it to be a 64-bit. So if it's 32, I'm not sure what can possibly be done, but just know that we wouldn't officially go into Flutter until we wouldn't go into Flutter immediately. So for now, we'll be using Dartpad, which you can use to get familiar with the Dart programming language. So when we get to that bridge, would worry about it. But for now, just focus on using Dartpad as we try to get familiar with the language and whatnot. Okay. Also, it might seem as though the track is moving slowly. That's understandable. Plus, remember, the program is majorly for people. I mean, it's for everyone, but it's also for beginners to start their career journey in tech. So it's going to pick up pace, but for now, just go with the flow. Okay, no need to feel too pressured, no need to feel overwhelmed. Everything is going to unfold gradually as we move on with the program. And also, do not be afraid to ask questions. There's no such thing as a stupid question. Everyone is a beginner, everyone is a learner. So just ask your questions at any time that it pops up, and there would always be someone to answer your question, or I will be there to answer your question as well. Okay, someone asked what an IDE is, and I see that there's been an answer in the comment section already. So yeah, that's what it is. It's an integrated development environment. It's and we have example pretty much. In fact, if we're using a very simple term, an IDE is a code editor. It's where you get to write your code and yeah, see your code come to life, pretty much, like test it on whatever platform is enabled for the language that you're writing. In Flutter, for example, you have your code editor, and then you get to run your code on either a mobile device, or you get to run it on the web, or you get to run it on a tablet, on a physical device, whichever it is that is available for testing your code. So it's pretty much a code editor in very simple terms. Okay, why is everyone so quiet today? We used to be all bubbly. I was hoping for the comment section to be filled with. I was hoping for the comment section to be filled with many questions. And yeah, I just saw a statement about never ask what you can Google. It's kind of right. Being able to Google things is actually a skill. A lot of people say this, but it's true. The ability to Google and find the answer to your question on Google is a skill. So you should actually try to start practicing that, because as much as we'll be here to answer your questions, I mean, over time, you might also need to do research for yourself. In fact, you could start now. Your first point of getting an answer should be Google. In a case where the answer you see on Google doesn't make sense, or you feel it's overwhelming, then you can go meet someone to break things down for you. But ideally, your first point of getting an answer should be Google. No, you can't download Dartpad. Dartpad is an online editor. It's available online. I showed an example of this in the last office hour. You could go check it out. Revenue generation for mobile apps. That's a pretty okay. I'm going to answer it regardless. There are a ton of ways in which you can get money from your mobile app, but very basically, the two primary ways that I've seen in most mobile applications is either you have ads in your app, or you have a subscription-based application where the most part of your app isn't accessible unless a user gets to subscribe. So you have, that's usually why most apps are, you see, in fact, like most times, most applications are subscription based, and that is a way in which they get to generate revenue. And then there's also the ads. There are other ways, but those are pretty much the most famous ways in which people generate money from their mobile applications. Hi, Steven. Yes, you can definitely start out your programming journey by learning Dart and Flutter. Over time, learning the Dart programming language is going to open your mind to want to learn the other major concepts of programming. It's what's the word? Yeah, just like I'm not sure there is any need to add more words, but yeah, the more you get conversant with the Dart programming language, the more you'd want to grow, and the more you'd want to learn more concepts that exist in the programming world. So It's totally fine if this is your first, if this is where you get to start from. There's pretty much no there's pretty much no 100% way in which you can start out your programming journey. So if it's that you get to start with, that's fine as well. It's going to help you get fully grounded as you grow in your career. The prerequisites, there are no prerequisites for this program. Everything you get to learn it on the go, but the basic language that we'll be learning in mobile development is Dart, the Dart programming language. It's a language that powers the Flutter framework. Hi, Josiah. I think I just answered the question. We'll be learning the Dart programming language and Flutter framework in this mobile track. The resources shared should already answer this question. So I'm kind of sad that we're still getting the question, but regardless, I hope that answers it. For those still talking about installing Flutter, we're going to get there. For now, we're trying, for now, the goal is that everyone gets to understand the basics of Dart. It's very easy to want to just dive right into writing Flutter and seeing what you're building on a mobile device. It's very easy to want to do that, but I always recommend that before you get started with Flutter, it's great to have a basic understanding of Dart. Else it's going to it's always going to be needed, even though you're just building the UI with Flutter. You would always need that. So it's best to just have to understand the basics now before you get started with Flutter. It's really for the best. So it'll be good if everyone stops worrying about Flutter for now until we actually do get to that bridge. Hi, Testimony, welcome. Okay, so the next set of resources to actually get started with Dart will be posted on the LMS soon. It was very important to actually have shared the introduction first, so that those who are not certain of if they actually want to be in the mobile track, at least with the resources shared, you can fully make your decision if this is where you want to be. This is officially the first week of the program. Just relax. Everything is going to unfold gradually and things will start to make sense. Don't put pressure on yourself. Don't feel overwhelmed. We're an online family. Everyone has one goal, which is to learn and to grow. So no need to feel overwhelmed. No need to feel pressured. Everything is going to unfold gradually. And I'm here at any point where you have a question. So the next set of resources will be posted on the LMS really soon. Just keep an eye out for it. So yeah, for those who haven't seen the intro resources, please go to the LMS and check it out. And for those who don't see the post, it's either you haven't selected mobile as an elective on the LMS. So please go do that so you wouldn't miss out on future posts. Oh, no, don't worry. When you see what's every resource that that will be shared on that is compatible with that pad. Every task that to follow on that is compatible on that pad. So no need to worry about that. From your experience as a mobile developer, do you think it's advisable to work as a mobile developer while schooling? There are actually a lot of job opportunities that give room for people who are still in school, like who actually understand that their employee is in school, and so the contract is adjusted based on that. But if it's something you can juggle, it's actually a lot to work while you're at school, but if it's something you can juggle, then it's totally fine. There are no restrictions. As long as you know what you're doing, you have the knowledge of what you're doing, or you're still, even if you're still learning, it's all about how willing you are to juggle both things. Although school is more important, so it means that your career should actually be taking a small chunk of your time in a week, while school takes the major part. Please stay in school, guys. Do I have a physical office that we can come when we have technical issues? No, please. I work from home, and most of my activities are done inside my house. So I can't possibly share that. I'm sorry. But I'm available on Slack. Um, you can always drop your question in the mobile channel and I will definitely answer. Hi, Moses. I already went through this, that everything is going to unfold gradually. So while everyone is trying to take in the introduction resources, the intro to that resources would also be released soon. So please be patient. All right. Is there any other question that is left to answer? I'm hoping that before our next office hour, the resources on that should already be shared. When is our next? Our next call is, let me quickly check that. Okay, our next class is actually tomorrow. I'm not sure the resources will be ready by then. So if there are no, anyway, we'll see how it unfolds. But let's just see how it goes. Yes, there's going to be a project phase for all the tracks. There's going to be a project phase for all the tracks, including mobile. Yeah. Okay, so you guys should enjoy these are short office hours, or like we're having really short calls now because the program is just starting and everyone is still trying to get a hang of things. As soon as the next set of resources drop, I know it wouldn't be as quiet as this. I'm just saying, but yeah, for now, let's just all enjoy vibing together as getting to know each other better and whatnot. But the next set of resources should be able to keep everyone busy for a bit, or leave you with questions that we can cover during the office hour. For how long the program is, I'll take it that you missed the onboarding, but the program should span for about 10 weeks. How many apps are we going to build during the duration of the training? Calm down. Relax. Just relax. With regards to relevance, is first-party native app development better than cross-platform application development where that resides? Um, you see, I try to avoid questions where there is questions like what is better than what. Native development has its own advantage. Cross-platform development has its own advantage. So there is really no such thing as what is better than the other. But I would answer for cross-platform because that's what we're going to deal in now. Cross-platform development enables us to build to write code that is compatible for multiple operating systems. Flutter now, one code base is compatible on iOS, Android, the web, desktop, and that's like just from one code base, right? It kind of it saves development time in a case where a person would actually want to write native code for all these platforms. It means you would need separate developers, you'd need separate development times, and also separate deployment times, because at the time when the Android will be done, iOS may not be done, and all those plenty processes that cross-platform actually helps to tackle. So cross-platform development is a lot faster since it's just from one code base and it's compatible on different OS. So I'm not going to answer, maybe I did touch on it a bit, but no, I'm not going to tell you or just put it out there that this is better than the other. They all have their different advantages. Okay, another disadvantage of native app development is the access to native features, right? There are certain features that we do not have packages for in Flutter that would actually still need to rely on native languages. That is, you'd use platform channels to plug in a native feature so that it can be accessible in your Flutter app. So it's, if you were writing in a native language, for example, you wouldn't need to have to go through all those plenty processes. But yeah, so native in that sense is a plus because you have access to everything. So every kind of development has its own advantage, just that in this case would be focusing on just cross-platform. So please ask me cross-platform questions. Thank you. Please, can you give a distinct differentiation between hybrid apps and progressive web apps? I'm not sure I can answer that question on the spot. Yeah, I'm not sure I can answer that question on the spot, but if it's something that's actually very important to you, I could share the answer to that on the LMS if it's, but on the spot, no, I can't give an answer to that. So before someone since there are no questions, I mean, before someone comes and asks me how to reverse a binary tree, I think this would be a good way to end the office hour for today. Thank you all so much once again for joining. Thank you all so much again for joining. We'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully, we're going to have different set of questions to tackle tomorrow. Okay, will learning Flutter be as difficult as learning Java? Because it took me a lot of time and effort just to get the basics down. Every language with its own difficulty level. Every language with its own difficulty level. It depends on how you learn, right? Excuse me. It depends on how you learn. I don't like to categorize anyone as a fast or slow learner. Everyone just learns differently. So it depends on how you learn, and so how you learn determines how fast, in quotes, that you get to take in the language. So I can't tell, like I said, how you learn. So it's going to be I'm not sure I'll be able to give a straightforward answer, but that is a pretty much straightforward language. And Flutter 2 is an amazing framework that you can easily pick up as long as you put in the work to actually learn. How consistent you are gets you to the point that you want to be faster or in a better progressive, journey or something. So yeah, it just depends on how you learn. But having prior knowledge of a programming language actually helps to be able to take in another language. If you, like you said, if you have knowledge of Java, it's just might be easy for you to understand another language that you try to pick up. Although, languages are different. Having a knowledge of Java does not mean that learning Go is going to be easy, right? So it just depends on one, how you learn, also the kind of language it is, but that is pretty straightforward. That is not complicated. I'm not going to compare it with any complicated language, but that isn't complicated, so it's easy to pick up, hopefully. It will take you to where you don't know, don't worry. You're going to get all the help you need to be able to what's the word? To be able to get to a stable point in your knowledge of that. Having little knowledge too is not a problem. I just said it's easier from someone who has previous programming language knowledge to be able to grasp a new language. It still might be difficult for some, I don't know, it depends on the person, but having knowledge of another programming language helps in understanding a new one, but it doesn't mean that being a total novice is a bad thing. You would also be able to learn it. It's just easier for someone who already had previous knowledge. There wouldn't actually be a need to make your Flutter application a progressive web app, because you can make provisions to make it compatible with such platforms. So there really wouldn't be a need to do that, since the framework itself, like the code you're writing, is compatible on the platform. So you can just easily compile your app and deploy it as a web app or as a mobile app, or whichever way you'd want to deploy it as. The purpose of office hours is to discuss. So since resources are going to be shared beforehand, it's expected that you would have questions when you're going through those resources. And we have them often just in case fresh questions pop in your head after a certain office hour. So it's here so that we can have direct, conversations on the questions that you might have. So it's not like in the case where there would actually need to be a live demonstration of something, that is, it has to already be either requested for, or if I see that a lot of people are confused about a certain thing, I could just host an office hour that covers a certain topic. So it's for situations like that, really. Flutter is now the compatibility for the web is now stable. So if that is anyone's go-to to build a web application, then you're free to do that. Well, a language that might be difficult to you might be simple to another person. It still very much depends on how you learn. So, yeah. That is similar to quite a number of languages. Like you'd see quite the similarities in that in other languages. I mean, for example, you see that having the print statement that is similar to Python and what other language? You also see certain function types or whatnot that are similar to other languages. So it has a lot of similarities with other languages. All right. Thank you all so much once again for joining. I know I've said thank you before, but I'm going to just say now. Thank you for joining today's office hour. We get to meet tomorrow again. In the case where you have a question, don't forget to use the form, or we could have live interactions like this with your questions in the comment section. Thank you all, and see you tomorrow. Bye.